In today's video, I am going to show you how to multiply integers. Now, multiplying integers is a fairly easy concept, but there are a few tips and tricks you need to know to get the correct answer. So let's go over some of those tips. Now, a positive integer times a positive integer will always give you a positive answer, or a positive product. When you have a positive factor times a negative factor, that's going to give you a negative product. If you have a negative factor times a positive factor, that also is going to give you a negative product. And a negative times a negative will give you a positive. Now let's take a look at this. Whenever your factors have the same sign, both up here are positive and both down here are negative, you will get a positive answer. When they have opposite signs, so here's a positive and here's a negative, or here's a negative and here's a positive, they will have negative products. Now let's look at a few examples. Let's say I have 2 times 3. That answer, we know 2 times 3 is 6. A positive and positive will give us a positive. 2 times negative 3, still going to be the same number, 6, except it's a positive times a negative, which we know will give us a negative answer. Now let's say we have negative 2 times a positive 3. A negative times a positive we know will give us a negative, and 2 times 3 is 6. So our answer there is negative 6. Now if we have a negative 2 times a negative 3, a negative times a negative we know is a positive, so we're going to have a positive 6 for this answer. So you're still multiplying numbers the same way you would normally multiply numbers, except for the fact that you're taking into account whether there's going to be a negative product or a positive product. Now let's try a few more examples. Let's say that we have 2 times 3 times negative 2. We know that 2 times 3 is 6. So now we're left with 6 times negative 2, which will be a positive times a negative, so we know our answer is going to be negative, and 6 times 2 is 12. So we're going to have negative 12. But let's say we have negative 2 times negative 3 times negative 2. We can look from the beginning. A negative times a negative is going to give us a positive. A positive times a negative is going to give us a negative. So we know right there, since those two are negative and we get a positive, and we have the opposite sign left, we're going to get a negative answer. So negative 2 times negative 3 is going to be a positive 6. And we're going to multiply that by a negative 2 to get a negative 12.